fight for the dream of Demacia.
For my father, the king.
The king's spear obeys.
Get ready!
Next in line. Next to die. Sword and shot, I'll take my island back.
More sparkles! Now!
You think you can beat me?
Keep a weather eye out.
Okay, so I need to somehow teleport to this board. It's gonna be awkward. There's 6 Yasuos. Like, what is it? Everyone have an actual board and I can't hit any kind of upgrade?
There's so much pain in Xinjiao's heart. Why?
There's no damage. And because these guys FF, I'm gonna be farmed. What do I need right now?
I've got a good feeling about this.
Can't wear the crown till the king's dead, little girl.
The cold does not forgive.
I bend knee to no king.
My prince, heed your training. The lance may falter.
I'm just gonna go next.
Must not.
Give me Viego augment.
Don't worry, Bristle. I'll leave you the scraps.
A symphony of justice.
Bigger they are, the harder I hit 'em.
So which one is the pig? Kidding.
Don't worry, Bristle. I'll leave you the scraps.
The mist takes all. Isoy, I know it is you. Show yourself to me.
Bigger they are, the harder I hit 'em.
I go wherever souls are adrift.
Up carousel. It's gonna be some Galio item or some tank item. Like, I'm probably looking for BT, but I don't really want to slam. No, I'm probably looking for BT. If I get more swords, I can be like maybe Shojin GS for Lux. So like, it's fine. I think I'm looking for sword. And if not, just whatever tank item I can make. Okay, this is awkward. I'll just make this. It's fine.
I fight for the dream of Demacia.
Honestly. I don't know if this is better, but sword. Two swords, that's a little less good. Actually, that's very not good. I'm having trouble.
I fight.
You're everything I despise, Viego. A monster and a disappointment.
Those are gonna be Lux items, so it's fine to put it on the Nivea. This would be so good if I were playing Piltover. I'm not playing the comp for this. And I guess.
The Isles remember.
Easy, Bristle. The arch is mine.
I lost this by the what?
The black mist won't hurt anyone. I promise.
Falter, but you must not.
Sorry, Your Majesty.
Demacia clears the path.
The cold does not forgive.
For my father, the king.
The king's spear obeys.
All we do is slips. The Freljord shall unite.
Choose evil, get shot.
Demacia clears the path.
On my copy.
Once had honor before the ruination.
Today's the day I find that hero.
Okay, so this. Okay, I kind of need some actual tank items, but not upset with this situation. I also need some upgrades. I need to hit this J4 at least. Well, kind of everything, because I need 12 star levels. Does Galio count as back row? I guess I'll find out.
Witness the strength of Noxus.
Said should have been moved to the where the statue is. Diego's dead. I can sack one more.
I bend knee to no king.
I hmm. I didn't realize I'm could have used that. What do you want here?
For the crown. Shurima's legacy will endure.
Guns blazing. First rule of being a sentinel? Choose evil, get shot.
Your name is your oath, Crown Guard, and both are in question.
heights high. Witness the strength of Noxus. For Demacia.
Trindamir, my love. I always suspected this would be our end.
For the cause!
Take courage in the light.
Demacia clears the path.
Witness the strength of Noxus.
I hope the hero likes me.
Also, I'm leaving level 9, so... okay, like, I lose this because I don't hit J42. Like, that's where I'm at. Or Sona 1. Like, that's really where I'm at. Because otherwise my spot would be so good. Stars was way better.
There's so much pain in Shinja's heart. Why?
I'll keep going until I get to my Clapio game.
I do not tolerate cowardice. With sword and shot, I'll take my island back. Hands off my meal! I win!
The Freljord awakens.
Hands off my meal!
Scurry back to your shadows, ninja.
Yeah, this is the game for this. So what's the Yasuo clan?
There is no drama in a peaceful death.
You helped block me away. You tried to stop my work. My heart cannot be contained.
Tread carefully.
You swim well, Gangplank.
looking for a road home. The story is not yet finished.
Sword and shot, I'll take my island back.
Witness the strength of Noxus.
Just looking for a road home. Just looking for a road home. Just looking for a road home.
My spirit may be rooted in Ionia, but my duty is to Demacia.
You're already dead. You just haven't caught up yet.
Just looking for a road home.
once more, Yunara.
Take my island back.
Just looking for a road home. Just looking for a road home.
I will save you from yourself.
I thought Azakana were nothing but children's tales. How wrong I was.
Drown within your lavender sea.
And he got left on carousel.
I learned your lessons too late.
swordsman.
Rare is the person who shows their true face.
The blade, above all things, except a good drink.
I can smell the contents of your flask from where I stand.
This could have been easy.
Your brother faced his demons, Tiana. Time to face yours.
Such intense emotions, ruined king. A mule to match my hunger.
Wait, if you if you also gets the 40 during combat, isn't that enough to unlock Aatrox?
When will I know peace?
It must be done.
Have you seen my bear Tivers?
Brother, our paths cross once again. Will our swords do the same? When will I know peace?
My journey's only beginning.
Let's see if it works. He also has to take enough damage.
enemy.
I could have played 4 Bruiser. Who starts combat? Oh. Okay. Then I have to swap back. This Titans is huge. Because the weakness is against this comp is the chill. Oh, Kindred. Or QSS. I'll take either.
Vow sworn. The dragon nears.
Oh. Oh. Oh, whoops. Beat the Fizz 3. What? Oh, we're just down, aren't we? Oh. Okay. Well, then I will do something else then. Because I have most. Okay. So, pretty much every comp that has come out of PBE so far has been here first. I don't think. Apart from some Rise variations, every time I see a new comp, it is something that I've already had. So, with that, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk about all the comps in set 16 so far, uh, that we have as of now, day 4 PvE. Yeah. So, okay, so I have them here. This is all in this document. This document, I posted it on Reddit. You can access it here, this website, TFTtheory.com. It is where I'm gonna keep all my updated stuff, and in the website form, just so you can like search it through Google and you'll find it, and you just have access to the doc, and yeah, and it's a PowerPoint, but like, yeah, everything for set 16 will be here. Everything that's, like I said, everything that's come out from set 16 has been here first. I hope to keep it that way. I'm pretty good at finding things before others, but if not, I don't feel bad just sharing what someone else has found. But yeah, for now, anything that, like, even if it's not meta, it'll be here. Because like I plan to include everything. I also have like ARM Mayhem stuff. If you want to do that. But yeah, I'm gonna go through every comp so far, and there's a lot of variations. Uh, yeah, so we'll just get into that now. I think I'm just gonna go through like PowerPoint. Okay, this is not a comp. I should put this with the other Rise comps. Do I even have a thing here for it? Okay, I'm just gonna lump it there. Okay, start off with this really shittily cut out version of Bilgewater. This is the level 8 version. This one is not as good as like I think Reroll is. I think Gangplank is a bit better than MF is right now. But yeah, the whole core of Bilgewater is you are farming these like look. You're farming silver serpents, and with that you have access to a shop which you can buy stuff. This includes like stat upgrades, you can buy copies of some of the units. You can also buy these special items, these Bilgewater items. And they're pretty good. They're like a bit better than normal items, kind of, but they also have like a bit of utility. They're kind of like in between a normal item and an artifact, I would say. But yeah, the level 8 version, you're just gonna play 7 Bilgewater. Uh, you play Graves MF for Gunslinger. You play Nautilus plus a Warden. Plus, like you play Nautilus and then activate both of his traits. Being like a Juggernaut and a Warden. This can be like Horn or something. And yeah, your main carry for the most part is gonna be Fizz. Fizz is a lot stronger than MF, I think. Uh, Fizz just wants AP items, some healing. He plays like Akali from set 15, but he's a little different. Like he takes a little longer on each time. Like when he dashes, he'll actually most likely kill them on the spots, rather than like Akali who might dash away and then like have to come back to it later. Yeah. The other thing is okay. Seraphiz, low mana cost, but when he casts, he empowers his auto attack, so like he's not like casting super often. But with that cast, he's likely to kill whatever he targets, and yeah, he dashes within 4 hexes, so it's the same positioning as Akali. Your dual carry is MF. She is kind of weird. She's I don't know if she's like a caster or if she's like a marksman because she kind of plays both, but she's not really good at either. Like she's labeled as an attack caster, so I would assume you would want to build like Jojen. But she also has this ricochet passive, so like I don't actually know. Either way, the stats on her aren't very good. But yeah, basically what she does is she rains the bullets on the enemies, and then after a certain amount of casts, she increases the amount of waves that she fires. So she ramps up over the course of a fight, uh, and it can hit more and more enemies on each cast. The last unit that's worth like mentioning is Tom Kench. He is kind of the chase thing for this comp. So Tom Kench is unlocked by spending 500 Silver Serpents, which means you pretty much have to play the vertical to unlock him, because it's hard to get enough Silver Serpents to get Tom Kench in a reasonable amount of time. Tom Kench is the same as Set 6 Tom Kench, so he has the Glutton trait, which means you can feed him, and like you feed him units, and you can give him permanent stats. The units that you feed him give like stats depending on what class they are and their star level. So this version you can only get health, attack speed, and AP, whereas in set 6 you could get their stuff like armor, magic resist, whatever. But yeah. So you're sacrificing gold to give Tom Kench permanent stats. Tom Kench's casts, they just do a lot of single target damage, and yeah, they also have a chance to drop loot if they kill the target. So he's really good to stack. If you get him early enough, he can be really, really strong. He just wants stuff that scales, so he's gonna have a lot of health and a lot of AP if you feed him properly. So you want to give him stuff that scales off of that. You want him healing, you want protection, you want a little bit of damage amp. You can go crit if you want, because if you with all the AP you have, the crit will do well as well. But yeah. But he's gonna be your third carry after your Fizz and MF. Next we have level like Yordle Vagar, but like this is the Fast 8 version. So I'm doing all like the level 8 comps before I do all the rerolls, so yeah, that's why we're doing this version. So if you manage to get to Vagar, which means you have to have to unlock Vagar, you need to field a unit with 2 death caps, which means you need to somehow acquire 4 rods in your game. But if you do, you can play this. Like normally you'll know whether you can play it at the start of the game if you get something like replication rods, or like if you get like most of them early, then you can consider playing this. But this one's good because you have a lot of internal synergies with traits, and then you also have like a Yordle. What it does is it gives you these like loot. So yeah, Yordle, it is good for reroll because there's a lot of low cost rerolls and you get like more copies for free. But if you don't reroll and instead push levels, you get access to these Yordle grab bags, and these help you gain a lot of money. This isn't a comp that you're likely gonna stay on like super late game, but for like stage 4, stage 5, this is pretty good. Vagar, he is this Vagar is very similar to the summon Vagar from set 6 or from Pengu's party, where he just rains the meteors on a bunch of different enemies. He also has a passive that gives him more AP from all sources, so you can give him the death caps that you get, or you can kind of spread them wherever. He also gets permanent AP on kill, so if you get him early, he can ramp up a decent amount. between like the permanent stacking AP and the bonus like AP multiplier, he can do quite a bit. Another thing is that with all the attack speed you get from the Yordle traits, because of all the copies of Yordles you have, uh, his best items is probably gonna be some combination of like this. And you can maybe consider like a second Trojan. But he has a lot of free attack speed, so you can get him casting more. And then similar to that previous comp, Fizz is a good dual carry. He kind of contests similar items, so you have to be a little wary of that. This comp lacks a good tank, so I mean the best thing you can hope for is Kennen. I think he's fine. Ideally, you can play your game around unlocking Silas. Silas is a 7 cost that you unlock by selling a copy of J42, Lux and Garen 2 at some point in your game. You don't have to do it all at the same time. Which means you have to acquire Garen 2 and Lux 2, which is why having the Yordle loot helps a lot. Because Silas, I don't know, Silas is just really good. So he has 3 spells that he can cycle through. One is a J4 stun, one is a Garen execute, and one is a Lux laser. And yeah, he can do a lot of damage if you unlock him. Yeah, okay. Next we have 4 Bruiser, 4 Gunslinger. This is like just a good synergy comp that I have here, so that's what it's doing here. A lot of this stuff, it just fits together. This is a comp built around MF, and you play around Gunslinger. Unfortunately, Gunslinger is not very strong, but in a balanced state where Gunslinger is good, this is better. I have like an attack speed MF just because, like I said, I'm not really sure, which is like neither of them are good. So I'll try to update. Actually, I'm gonna update this now. What does Lucian Senna want? They do want. Okay, I'm just gonna swap the items then. Yeah, that's it can be a little hard to unlock Tahm Kench. You're gonna be playing 5 Bilgewater for most of the game. Uh, you can still get to him. It just will take a little bit longer. You want to have a lot of your early items onto grave so that he can get to kill, so he can farm you the Silver Serpents. But yeah, if Gunslinger's a little stronger, I can see this comp being a bit more viable. Next we have 7 Demacia. Uh, so this is a interesting comp in the sense that I think people are not playing around one of the strongest parts of this comp, which is the fact that Galio does a lot of damage. Uh, just okay, the standard Demacia core, you play 7 Demacia, you play around Garen Lux, a bunch of other Demacia units, and then you play like supporting like frontline units. So you play Ornn for Warden, you play Swain for Arcanist and Juggernaut. You can play Ziggs just for whatever. So Galio, what's interesting about him is that he doesn't take up a slot on your board. Instead, you play him on your bench. So you have an extra unit, which is why on this board you have 10 units. But what he does is he, like passively, he does a lot of magic damage in an AoE every third attack, scaling with his magic resistance. And then okay, so Galio, he stays on your bench. When you first, like after a certain point in combat, he'll jump in and fight for your team, and he'll do an AoE knockup, and then from there, like as a fighter, he has this like AoE magic damage every third attack, which does a lot. Like if you build around it, and then on cast he does like he dives into a group of enemies and allies, and then he shields allies and he does damage, and it's pretty strong. But the thing I want to bring up is just how high this ratio is for his damage. Like his passive damage has a 380 and a 570 magic resist multiplier, which means if you give him magic resistances, he will actually start doing a lot of damage. He usually does about the same amount of damage as Lux, sometimes does more. At 2-star, he out damages Lux. But I'm talking about 1-star Galio. The other parts of the comp are Garen, who's just a tank. I just want to give him normal tank items. And Lux, she is a AP caster. She just does some damage. She has a little root, and then she just fires a laser. You want to build her. You want to give her a bit more AP. A lot of the recommended builds are going to give her crits, but in the Demacia version, she actually needs a bit more AP. So I'd actually recommend something like Deathcap, like Shojin, something like this. Because right now, the better version of her in the stats is Arcanist, and with Arcanist, yeah, you want to build crit. Because you already have a lot of AP. But yeah, if you could get to this board, you will actually be very strong, because Galio actually is disgustingly strong. Next we have Freljord Lysandra. This is pretty standard. There's a variation of 7 Freljord, and then there's this Invoker version. Stats apparently like 7 Freljord more, but most people I've talked to like this version more. And I don't know, this version feels more interesting to play. So yeah. Main tank is Braum, just normal tank items. Lysandra, just give her AP items. Kind of the same thing. She wants a source of AP, and then otherwise, a main item, and yeah. Zillion is really strong in this comp because this is a pretty stall comp. He also he's a damage over time unit. Okay. So Braum gains durability and he can draw in projectiles. He also chills enemies a little bit. He's a really good tank right now. He's one of the better, if not the best, forecast tank, I think. Lysandra, she stuns her target, does magic damage, and then she does AoE damage, and then that splits. So she has a little bit of single target, a little bit of AoE. She's okay. I don't know. I wouldn't say she's like the best primary carry, but I mean she's solid. But with some support, she can do well. The other noteworthy units are Zillion and Volibear. Volibear, he's 5 cost Volibear units. To unlock him, you need to have a really tanky unit, so it's important that you have your items on Braum. If not Ornn, Ornn also is pretty good at farming or stacking health to get like to Volibear. But this guy's a carry. You just want to give him like 8 like bruiser items. Uh, yeah, he does a pretty good amount of damage. And then Zillion, he is a invoker. He also is a damage over time unit. So you want to give him all your like utility items like burn, shred. His trait is Chrono Keeper, which gives him XP passively, or he gives you like you XP passively. And then yeah, the other interesting thing is, if his spell is on the units for a certain amount of time, so 18, 16 seconds, he can instantly kill them. This doesn't really play out very often, but I mean sometimes, like if you have a trouble killing like a tank on the enemy team, you can try to position him in front of them, and at the very least, after 18 seconds, they'll be gone. But yeah, that's a rather niche thing. But yeah, the Freljord trait has this statue. I don't think this. Okay. Freljord, what it does is okay, so allies in front of the statue gain health, allies behind it gain damage, and Freljord gain more. Uh, so you have like these statues. You want to position them to cover. I think if they're next to it, that counts as being in front. So this could like these positioning this gets health, and then these gets damage amp. This what's noteworthy about Freljord is that it's a pretty good support trait, just like for like flex. So you can play through Freljord and you can provide a decent buff to other types of units. But for Freljord, obviously you're gonna get a lot of stats. Another thing I'm not sure of is if hold on. If you do something like this, whether you get like the thing doubled. I don't think that's the case. But if it is, that's pretty good. But yeah, there's this variation, or you can drop Zillion Kobuko for 2 more Freljord, get 7, which gives you a stun, which isn't bad. Okay, now we're getting into the Rise comps. So Rise is a very interesting unit. He's a 7 cost. To unlock him, you need to play 4 region traits together in combat. I think I saw in the patch notes that they're going to increase this to 5, which makes it actually pretty difficult to unlock him. But basically, so you need to activate like region traits. So like it has to be origins, but like specifically the regions. So the easiest way to unlock, I think, okay, with 4 before, the easiest way to unlock was like I'm saying just supposed to like you play this and you get, so you play like these 3 units, and then +1 Demacia, +1 Ionia. You have Demacia, Ionia, Yordle. I'm missing something. Oh, and a Targon. Yeah, and Targon counts. It's a unique trait, but it is a location, so it counts. This would be enough normally. I think on next, like, okay, so the next things you'd probably be able to do is like maybe Void, right? Like just pick any of the ones that take 2. That would be Piltover, Shadow Isles, Shurima, Void. Yeah, those are gonna be the easiest. But with that, uh, based on each of these region traits, Rise is going to get a bonus to his ability. Like it's like a modifier, and a lot of these are really good. So a lot of Rise comps are built around getting as many, or not as many, but like getting different combinations of these bonuses as possible. One like overarching thing is that the best one is probably Shurima because it is CC. Even after nerfs, it's still like really good to have CC. And then it also has a chance to give loot, which is also always very good. So this is a variation of 2 different comps. This is a variation of Freljord, and this is a variation of Yunara, which I'll talk about later. You'll be seeing a lot of Yunara. But this hybrid comp activates Freljord, Ionia, Yordle, and then you can play, I think, a Targon or something on this board. And then that's it. Okay, not anymore, actually. Not on... I just realized that on the next patch, this is going to be killed. But, okay, ignoring the Rise parts, this is a version of, like, a board that you play basically the same way as Freljord comp, but you also play on Yunara. Yunara is... She's just a marksman. She does a lot... Right now, she's just really strong. So a lot of people want to just play her whenever. So just kind of like an Aphelios, or like it's like a unit that like she casts and then she becomes stronger for a certain amount of time. So Yunara, she gains attack speed and she fires lasers for a certain amount of time. Uh, you just build her like a normal marksman. She has a crit synergy, so building Infinity Edge is pretty good. I think in a more interesting balance state, they would make it so that you would not want to build against Zeus, and instead you'd build something else. But right now, Ginsus is just really good in the stats, so I'm not gonna argue with that. But this board, you play Freljord and you play Ionia. Ionia is a rotating trait, which means every game it'll be different. I think there's like 6 of them. And there's different bonuses. Most of them aren't too crazy. Even the ones that like aren't, it's like there's like a reroll one, but even like you can still play normal like level 8 boards with that and it's like perfectly fine. Like none of these are really that impactful. There's one that gives crits that makes like allows you to the crit, so with that you don't have to build Infinity Edge. But other than that, most of them are some variation of give you like AD, AP, or like damage amp or something. So it doesn't really matter that much, but yeah, Ionia is pretty good to have like at least activated. And yeah, as I was saying before, with like Lissandra's not the best primary carry, so that's why you play this one. And she, in a more utility role, she is a lot more satisfying to play. Wukong is your main tank here. Wukong is another. I mean, he's a decent tank. Uh, he has a passive that like on death he summons another copy, and it's like, basically it's like having what's the power up? Second chance or whatever it's called. I don't know. But yeah, this is a pretty popular comp. Just because in the current state of balance, and Rise are very strong. Another Rise variation, we have this. It plays a lot into the unlock that I showed before with this core of units, and then you just play upgraded units to support that, and then you add Shurima. So yeah, this board is still perfectly fine because you still have 5. And yeah, your main carry is Rise. I guess I didn't talk about what the actual bonuses are. But yeah, the best ones are Shurima, for the reason I said before. I think Demacia is also probably the next best one, just because it procs more often than it needs to be. Or like, it's very easy for enemies to get in that range, and Rise also hits a lot of enemies. So it's pretty much like a guaranteed execute. Other regions in this board, you have Ionia, which gives you more blasts, so it's more opportunities to execute, more knock-up opportunities. You have Targon, which heals, which is pretty nice. Like, for just one unit that you can fit, and usually being like another frontliner, it's pretty nice to have. And then Yordle, which actually counts. It says Yordle. I mean, it's like that's technically Bandle City. That's the region, but I mean Yordle. It's like it's the same thing. This reduces damage, which also is pretty impactful, I think, especially in the melee boards. That can be really annoying. This in combination. Okay, so on the previous board with Freljord, you have that, and you have a chill. So the Freljord one is chills, so you can really cripple melee boards with Rise. Yeah. But yeah, post nerfs, I don't know how strong this is, but at the very least, this version of Rise will still be intact. And secondary carries Azir. He's a Shurima unit. He's what unlocks all the other Shurima units. He's pretty good. He has these Sand Filters, which is more frontline, and then as a unit, he does a good amount of damage. You give him attack speed and AP, and he does a lot of damage. He summons soldiers and they can move around, and it's the same as Zir, like most sets. Like it's the most common version of Zir, like the one that people think of. So yeah, he's pretty good. He's a good secondary carry here. And then Xerath is one of the units that you can unlock through Azir. It doesn't really matter which one that you get. Xerath is probably the best one in this spot because you want more backline. But if you get any of the other ones, it's fine. Yeah, so Nasus, you need to lose. Renekton, you need to win. And then Xerath, you need to alternate. Yeah, Nasus is just a tank. Renekton is like a damage dealer. And then Xerath is a caster. Xerath also has this trait, which gives you access to charms. Which it's just like set 12 Xerath. Like they appear in your shop and you can get them and they buff you in combat. Other variations of Rise that might be killed by the new patch. Noxus Void Rise. This is a variation of Noxus Rise, but I think this one's a little bit better because like even though you're playing more low-cost units, the overall board quality isn't actually much worse because you're playing better supporting traits. So, like I know there's another version that plays like Swain, Shyvana, which I mean they're better units, but this version you play Bruiser Defender, which are two supportive traits. They both give like team-wide buffs. You also fit in Void. Oh, you also fit Arcanist here in this board, which gives you AP, which also helps a lot. Yeah. I think what's carrying this version being similar power to the other one is the fact that Scion is really, really strong. So I took a look at Scion. He gains permanent max health on takedown. If you get him stacking early from the beginning of the game, he can have a lot of health. So for a 2 cost, he just provides way more value than he needs to. It's very similar to Garen in set 15, where if you get him stacking early, he can be as good as like a 2-star 4 cost tank. And this Scion is like exactly the same. Like if you get him stacking early, he's basically a 2-star 4 cost, and he's pretty good. Like very simple. So yeah, the synergies, the notes for Rise. Okay, the other thing to talk about is that in order to get access to Rift Herald, you need to be playing Void early. So Rift Herald unlock condition, you need to play Void active for 8 combats. So usually early game you're just gonna be playing this. Like you're gonna have this Void Core, Kog'Maw, Cho'Gath, and then like Briar for Nox. Like so it's usually perfectly reasonable to play around that, but you need to make sure you have that, because otherwise, Rift Herald is another like pretty good unit. But yeah, the Rise buffs for this comp are Noxus, which is also probably one of the best ones. It's just that Noxus doesn't connect so well to other traits. So I think Demacia is good because it has like access to like Poppy, Xin that give you access to more. Whereas Noxus, there's no like shared units with Noxus, so it's really hard to get without like committing to it. But yeah, the blasts now pierce in AoE, so it just effectively does more damage. I think this is the best multiplier. I'm not actually sure. It's really hard to tell because Rise kind of just blows up everything. But yeah, on top of that, the other bonus that's significant is Void, which it gives you like free armor pen or magic pen. So yeah, and then overall, and then you're just playing Shurima because Shurima's broken and it only takes 2 units. And because Azir is a disruptor, which synergizes with Mel, so that's 2 5 costs. Okay, next we have Zone Rise. This is the Zone variation. You have pretty decent units. You can play around Singed, which is a pretty decent secondary carry, or if not, you can just always play Zero. Pretty standard version of the board is nothing that crazy. So the Zon bonus, it poisons and it deals damage over time. It's hard to tell how much this does because a lot of the time they're just gonna die before the poison even finishes. But I mean, it's another damage. It's just another way to play the comp. This one is gonna suffer a lot from. Actually, is it? Yeah, it is. From the updates, but we'll see. And then this is another variation, which is just you play around Kaisa dual carry, it's just Demacia, Void. No Shurima, so I don't know how good this one actually is, but this is one that I've seen people play. It's okay. Alright. Now that we're done with Rise, we have some Demacia variations. I think I'm gonna put this next to like here, but yeah, this is a Demacia board if you don't get what you want and instead you just have to play around other stuff you hit. But yeah, Ziggs, he's pretty unique in it. Ziggs, he is autos are modified and they like bounce and they do stuff. And then on active, he just throws a really, really big bomb and it does a lot of damage. So and you have good synergies here, so that's kind of just where this comes from. Is this just a repeat? No, I just clicked. No. Next we have Ionia Yunara. Like I said, Yunara is a pretty strong unit, so this is like the standard version of the board. You play Yunara Kindred for a quick striker. You play 7 Ionia. Orn is a 5 cost you can fit. Set is just a 5 cost Ionia unit. So let's talk about Kindred and let's talk about Set. Set to unlock, you need to field a unit. You need to solo frontline a unit for 1 combat, and then you'll get access to Set. He's a magic damage carry. It's it's the boss set, so you play him. Basically, the best way to play around him, you just let him proc the boss early. By doing that, you just like you solo frontline, and then he's gonna do push-ups or sit-ups. Uh, these give him like they heal him, so and then they give him attack speed and move speed. So, and he also does 2 damage. So basically, like he's gonna restart combat after doing his setups, and then he's gonna do true damage, and that's the main thing. He does a lot of damage. His spell is an AoE slam. Like so he grabs the target, and then he slams them into the rest of the enemy team. The other unit is Kindred. Kindred, quick striker for Yunara. She has this eternal strike doesn't really do much, right? Yeah, okay, it just gives her more damage. But the main thing is she is a marksman and she has her Kindred ult, which can prevent death in a pretty large AoE. It's a 2x AoE, so like this is the range. So you can place her here with your Yunara, and she'll be protected. And yeah, you can give her whatever leftover AD items. She also wants attack speed items, so if you kind of like contests, like she wants the same kinds of items here, but it's fine. Another Yunar variation is to play with Misfortune. There might be some balance state where this is viable, but yeah, you just play on both Yunar and MF. And you have synergies here, and it works out pretty okay. Next we have 9 Void. So to play Void, okay, so the main unlock is Rift Herald and Baron. To unlock Baron, you just need to have the other units, and you need to be level 10, which is pretty hard to get to. But if you were to play around that, then, your spot's pretty good. So the basic board, you just play all the Void units. Rift Herald is your tank. Kaisa is your main damage dealer. I think I like the AP version of Kaisa. I think it's a bit stronger. That one likes attack speed and like AP. Belveth will carry the same items as Baron, so you can put like these items on Belveth. Like it's the same kind of thing. And then you have 7 Void, and then your last unit is just a supporting unit, so you can have Volibear, Swain, Aatrox, just an extra unit. And I guess if you have to be level 10, you're gonna play like some combination of these units. Actually, no, you're not, because Baron takes up 2 slots. But yeah, I wouldn't advise playing around this because it's really hard to get to, and you're not super stable in the mid game. But if you have the means to teleport to level 10, then this could be an okay option. Okay, now we have a Shurima comp. This is just you play Shurima and you play a bunch of other units. This is not the best way to play Asol. This is just one of the versions. I think Asol has a more... He's a better version of the comp. Also, these items are not wrong, but that's... They're not right, but that's just because we found out how to play Asol. But obviously, I'm not going to know that before the set is launched, right? And I made most of these comps before PBE was even up. Okay. Another Shurima variation. This one plays around Noxus. This is a better Azir comp, I would say. You have a bit more stable frontline. You have some carries. We talked about what Azir does. Xerath, I mean, we talked about what he does. It's the same Xerath as like always. Like, he Xerath ults and he Iris blasts at different enemies. Okay, so this is the Asol variation that's actually is to played. So yeah, I think this Freljord version is really good. You get Invoker, which helps Asol cast more. You get Freljord, which buffs his damage and has more frontline. Oh yeah, I think the best tank is actually Leona. If you can get Leona 3, she's really, really, really good. If not, like if it's just Leona 2, it's about the same as like Targ and Braum. They're both like pretty good. Diana's a really good duo carry. Diana, to unlock, you need to put items on Leona. And in order to unlock Asol, you need to have all the other Targons. So that's why you have items on Leona in the first place. But yeah, let's just take a look at what all these units do. Okay, so Leona, she passively reduces incoming damage, and then her active is an AoE stun that also burns. So she'll call sunbeams on 3 enemies, stun and burn them. So it's free anti-heal, it's free CC. Yeah, and she's just very... She can be really tanky. Like I said, Leona 3, like, she reduces 80, and if you give her like some AP, or like a Crown Guard, if you're gonna be more like realistic, she can negate a lot of champions. Next, we have Taric. Passively gives some magic resist. And then he also has this like kind of buffer at 35% health where he gets really tanky. It's like kind of like Diamond Hands, but like not really because it's only 90% durability instead of 100. His spell is just pretty generic. He gives a shield to himself and then the 2 allies. Diana, I would say the best way to describe Diana is like quite literally set 15 Akali. Like the current Akali is pretty much Diana, except this Diana also gets a shield. Otherwise, it's like the exact same spell. I think people haven't realized that. This Diana is really, really good. I think people should play around her more. And lastly, we have Ornn. Ornn is pretty interesting. He's a warden, so it connects with Braum. He has the blacksmith trait, which kind of carries him as a unit. So passively, he like gains stacks, and then at 4 stacks, he can forge an artifact. So you can just get a free artifact for like just like for having him in combat at like for 4 rounds. The other part of his trait is that he gets health for item he has equipped and artifacts give him more. So if you get a good tank artifact, Orin becomes really, really tanky. Um, even not, like even regular items, like if you give him 3 items, he'll have 600 bonus health at 1 star. At 2 star, he'll have a free like 1200 HP. And then with artifacts, if he has 3 artifacts equipped, he will have a free 3600 HP, which is really, really good. Orin himself isn't like that good. Like he's very carried by his trait. Uh, he has AoE chill, and that's it. But you would think that this is like crowd control, but it's not, and it doesn't do that much damage. But it's pretty decent utility, and there's a lot of synergies with chill in the set. Uh, a lot of the Freljord units have chill, or they get bonuses based on chill. So Ornn is really, really good to play with Freljord, which you are doing in this comp. Okay, the star of this show though for this comp is Asol. He passively gains stacks from hitting enemies. You can get more stacks from having more Targons equipped. Like it's just a multiplier. And yeah, you get all these thresholds that make his spell stronger based on the more stacks he has. The noteworthy ones I would say are 175, which is the knockup. And then you have 600, which I think is going to get nerfed to 700. But this calls down a meteor shower, and that is a lot of damage. So his spell, for the most part, is AoE, but this gives him some single target damage. And then the last threshold is Link and Execute, which is also really good. But yeah, Asol is played around getting as much stacks as possible, so the best way to do that is usually something like... What people like is this version, where you play like Shojin Ginsu's. I'm personally of the belief that it is better to stack Adaptive Helm. I think this generates more mana. Or, I know it generates more mana. And I think other people should realize that too. Yeah, triplet Adaptive Asol is the best version of this. The way Adaptive works is that it's a multiplier on itself. So, like, it's not like you get 15 plus 15 plus 15. It's actually like 15 times 15 times 15. So it's actually like around like 51% bonus mana. They also buffed Adaptive this set, so it now has 3 mana regen. So yeah, you're getting 50% bonus mana. You're getting mana from Invoker plus this. And yeah. This is the best version of Asol, and it's probably the strongest comp right now. We'll see how it looks after the nerfs. Okay, another Arcanist variation. This is 6 Arcanist Vagar. If you don't unlock Vagar, you can just play Lux. Same thing. But there's a lot of Arcanist variations. The units to talk about here. Let's do Swain, Annie, Shyvana. So Swain is the main tank normally of Arcanist boards. He is the CC unit, so he is like the current set Jarvan. Uh, so his spell is just an AoE stun on like the largest clump of enemies. He passively does AoE damage and he heals himself. So he's like pretty good. But you just want to give him like casting items mostly. Shyvana is a Juggernaut. She's 5 cost and it's a flex unit. Uh, she's a 80 damage dealer. You give her bruiser items. But yeah, there's nothing really that crazy. The main thing is that she gives this trait, which is just damage reduction to your team. So it's pretty nice to have, and she is just a good unit on her own. So that's why you pair her with Swain. Uh, Next we have Annie. Annie is a very interesting unit. So what she does is her first cast is like a really like really crazy strong like AoE spell. It permanently burns, or not permanently, but like it burns the field, like, so all enemies take damage over like 45 seconds, and are permanently burned. And then afterwards, she becomes like a low mana cost caster. So she's really good with like Void Staff. She can apply pretty much permanent shred. She's also really good with like Lichbane, because once she gets to like her other cat, like her spam cast form, she procs it like I think faster than any other champion. But yeah, she also provides Tibbers. Tibbers, what he does, he's just an extra unit. He scales with any star level, uh, but he's just a straight up separate unit. He takes up a slot, so like he just is a unit. So you get the 2-for-1, but it's not like it's a free unit. It's like it's a 2-for-1. And you also don't have to play Tibbers. You can leave him on your bench if you don't have the space for it. But he's a pretty good tank. Overall, I would say he's a better tank than Swain. So like Swain, I have like caster items, and then these tank items I would put on Tibbers because he's actually a really good tank. And then finally we have Silas, who I talked about before, but he's a really good damage dealer. For some reason, he's really good with Gunblade. I don't really know why. But he just does enough damage to support main tank. Lux variation, same thing. The only thing is it's hard to get to like Silas and then have all these together. Uh, Normally you're gonna have this board, and then when you're ready to unlock Silas, usually you'll sell when you have a copy of Annie so that you can move your tank items to Tibbers. If not, you can move your tank items to Swain, and it's okay. Yeah, but you're gonna have to refine all of these, so it's pretty tough. But if you have Annie, like you can move your carry items to Annie, your tank items to Tibbers, and then usually that works out. So that's why this version can still play. Now we're playing into Arcanist being a bit of a supportive trait unit, because Arcanist is just AP, but it provides a team buff, like a pretty good one. So this one, like you get 40 AP to your team, so that it can enable some other carries. So something like Lulu, or not like Zillion. It works because he just gets free AP, and then you can bring in some other stuff to help out. Okay. Another Yunara comp. This is a quick striker variation. You play into Zon. I guess this is more of a Warwick comp, but I still think the main carry is Yunara. And even Singed is probably a bit more relevant than Warwick. But yeah, you play around Zon. Zon is like Chemtech from Set 6, pretty much. After 4 seconds, you gain durability and decaying attack speed. And there's different conditions to have it proc, and you can have a heal. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but it's like, I don't know, it's not really worth thinking about. For this comp, you need to unlock Warwick to do so, you need a 2-star Jinx and a 2-star Vi. It's not that hard because you're gonna have Jinx hold items for Yunara. So that's it. Like once you have that, you're good to go. Warwick has pretty good synergy with those two, but like that's like a separate comp. This version we're talking about Yunara, which is probably the better version, but you can also play it with Jinx herself and you reroll Jinx. But yeah, so Warwick, he casts once and he gets a permanent buff. He gets attack speed, omnivamp speed, on hit damage, and then he also has this like Jinx passive effect where like on takedown you get attack speed for a short amount of time, which also is applied to Jinx and Vi. And while Vi isn't that much of a damage dealer, Jinx is. So yeah, that's where that comes from. But yeah. And then yeah, like we have Singed. I didn't talk about it before, I guess, with this on Rise board, but Singed, he just walks around and he spreads poison. He's really good with like burns. And yeah, that's about it. He's a good amount of damage. To unlock him, you just need to have 4 Zon active, or 4 Juggernauts, but like in this case it's going to be Zon, and then take 30 damage. So once you're at 70 health, then you will be able to unlock him. Next we have Bruiser Scion. This is a pretty funny comp because it plays into the fact that Scion's actually really good if you get him stacking. So doing so, like you don't even have to commit to reroll. If you could just get a bunch of copies early, like you just push levels and then you hold on to every Scion you can, and if you 3-star him, that's pretty good. But otherwise, you're gonna get more health from stacking than you are from like the level up. And I think the best version of this flex board plays around Yunara Sandra. So that's why like you want to push levels. But there are reroll variations where you just play Scion with like other like two cost backliners. Well, yeah, you're getting as much HP as possible, and he gets the permanent flat HP, so it works out. This backline fits well because you get Freljord with Ashla Sandra, and you get Quick Striker, which activates Ionia. So it's a pretty good combo. Another version, or you're instead playing around 4 like Invoker. Yeah, you still get your Freljord with Anivia, but then you play Zillion, which also it fits this comp well because this is like a stall frontline. However, you are a little bit reliant on Lysandra to do more of the damage. Zillion can be useful, but it's not guaranteed. Okay, we have Disrupt the Seraphine. Okay, this isn't the best version of the board. I'm gonna put this next to, where is the other one? Alright, so this is a board that I found early on. Disruptor Singed. You pair, like, the other Disruptors fits well with... Why is this not... Okay, well, it doesn't show, but this is a 4 Disruptor comp. You play Singe Zero Mal +1, which like it works out. So this is a spat comp. I think people don't realize that this like it kind of needs the Disruptor emblem. If not, you just have to play another unit. But you don't really have the space for that. Like you'd have to sack Agadarius, but that's like a pretty relevant part of your board because he gives you access to Otacon and he gives you Defender. But yeah, we talked about Singe, we talked about Azir. I guess we'll talk about Mel. Mel, to unlock, you need to have a Ambessa die. I got 2-star Ambessa. Mel, her spell is pretty complicated because she has these orbs, and they follow enemies, and they just like they. I mean, it's just they drain mana, but it barely does anything. They just do a little bit of damage, and then the main thing that she does is just her main cast, which is just a big explosion. Like that's all it is. The rest you don't really have to think about it, but after like draining, she technically can give you a random radiant item. However, this is not something you're actively gonna be thinking about. So like if it procs, you can be happy. I mean that's it. But yeah, you're playing around good energies. Uh yeah. And I think the main thing people don't realize that this is an emblem comp. The other disruptor comp is like not like it's I think significantly worse and harder to play around, but it's the same core mostly, but you're playing around. Uh, you have Shadow Isles. It's kind of the only way to get a decent disruptor. I mean, I guess you can try to play around like Malzahar plus like a void of some kind, but that's not that good. But I mean, this isn't that much better. But yeah, in this version, you're playing more on Seraphine. Seraphine's a bit weird. So she's a low mana cost, but like every 4 casts, she has like a big spell. So Seraphine, she does a little bit of single target damage. And it like ramps up after each cast, and then after 4 casts, she fires a wave, and then she also like expends all her notes. So I mean, she's okay. Okay, let's go back to okay. Now speaking of Shadow Isles, we have Callista. This one's pretty niche because I think Shadow Isles is like really annoying mentally to play around, but yeah, so to unlock all the Shadow Isles units, you need to start with having items on Viego. Like, to unlock Yorick, which is to activate the trait, you have to fill the 2-star Viego with items. Then when you have these two, you have Shadow Isles active. And what this does is this generates souls, and a lot of the, well, okay, all the Shadow Isle units' abilities are scaling with souls. So it's pretty important that if you want to play this, you need to activate this as early as possible. So you need to get items on Viego as early as possible. But yeah, this is tempo version. There's a reroll version, but like you'd only play that with augments, I think. I think otherwise it's like too awkward because Viego doesn't have good synergies with other units. There's no other 1 cost that you'd want to reroll with them. So that's like, yeah. So this is the level 8 version. You play around Callista. She's a caster. To unlock Callista, well, the same as unlock all the other ones. You just need a certain soul requirement. So Gwen has a 20 soul requirement. Callista is 75. Thresh is 150. To get souls, it's just whenever any enemy dies while Shadow Isles is activated. So that's why you need to have Yorick in as soon as possible. I guess if you have the trait activated, you'll have a permanent counter, and that'll be your soul count. Callista is an AD caster. She just like, I mean, she just does damage. I don't know how to explain it. But she summons the spears. She does damage to 3 enemies. That's basically what she does. She just wants like caster items. She's a vanquisher, which is the like assassin like crit trait, which is I guess kind of noteworthy. This board you're just playing around synergizing traits, so you can get Noxus in with pretty good synergies, so you can get Disruptor. Disruptor, I guess. Wait, I didn't talk about Disruptor. Disruptor, what it does, it has a dazzle effect. So you apply a debuff that reduces enemies' damage, and then disruptors deal bonus damage to dazzled enemies. So the first time a disruptor does damage to an enemy, it's not gonna get bonus, but like anything else afterwards would. But yeah, that's the support synergy. Quick Striker. It's an attack speed synergy, but it has a team wide buff, like on activation, so 15% attack speed to your team. And yeah, Noxus with Ambessa, you get Otacon, which is another unit, and that's the main core. And then your last thing is a Warden, main tank. Braum is pretty good just because he's a 4 cost. If you can get to Ornn, that also works. But yeah, this one's, if you can get to it, it's pretty good. It's just annoying to get to. Next we have Slayer. This one's like kind of awkward because it's all melee units. I think I'd only play this with a spat. But yeah, this isn't one that I'm like super fond of myself. But I mean, I've seen people play and they say it's good. So, and I've seen it do well. But this is just a stat stick. It's just a bunch of melee carries. Uh, Aatrox, Bel'Veth are well, the two most relevant units. Bel'Veth, she just is an auto attacker. You don't have to think about anything else. She's just an auto attacker. She ramps up a little bit. Oh, so it's like she'll transform and then she gets a permanent buff, similar to Warwick. Uh, but and she like ramps up like she on the same units she can get bonus tree damage. So like she can kind of shred through. She's not gonna shred through things fast, but like if she gets stuck, eventually she'll be able to take down a tank. So that's pretty okay. Uh, Aatrox is the other unit to talk about. He is a 5 cost. You unlock him by fielding Omnivamp in combat. So you need to have certain combination of items. They have to start combat with the 40%. So usually with 2 healing items, that's usually enough. So yeah, normally you're just gonna put all your healing items on the same unit just to activate the Aatrox, and then you can move them back to whoever you want. But yeah, this Aatrox, he has World Ender, which is it's just a revive, and that makes him pretty strong. Other than that, he cycles through 3 different spells, and they just do different, like they have different modifiers. But yeah, Aatrox also is a Darkin. So I think the main appeal to this comp is if you have access to more Darkin. There's multiple ways to get access to Darkin. Like if you have these like, oh, I don't know where they are, but there are some artifacts that give you the Darkin traits. If you also have a way to get, like if you're playing STheHero augments, you also have Zahin, which is a Darkin. But yeah, if you can get the 2 Darkin, that's the main thing that would inspire me to play this comp, because you can start healing for the damage you do, and this is a very snowbally comp. If you can somehow get the 3 Darkin, uh, that's really like 3 Darkin is a really strong, because you deal 200 damage for every 100 damage you heal, which is yeah, it's one of the best multipliers in the game. It's just like hard to access. Yeah. This is just 6 Juggernauts. I would probably prefer the Seraphine version, honestly. Like, after having experience, but I made this before I knew how to play run Juggernaut. Now we have some Fast 9 variations. This is Ionia. You play around sets, Wukong, but then you also flex in some 5 costs that you can activate. Simple enough. This is probably just a higher cap version of Ionia in most cases. Noxus. This Noxus is like weird. You can play around 7, or you can also play around 5. You can drop some of these units for more 5 costs. But yeah, you play around the Mel Azir. That's the main thing, and then Mbessa. I didn't talk about Mbessa, but she is she just does AoE damage around. She like dashes a lot. She has a little bit of a reset. You give her bruiser items, she'll do a good amount of damage. Yeah, on this board you play Fiddlesticks because that's like the easiest synergy to get. Like you're just activating traits for. Like you're finding 5 costs to activate traits for your units. So, like you're prior to like you have Mel Azir, and then you have Swain, which you already have with Briars, and then you're looking at Mbessa, which is your next unit. That's why you have Fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks is weird. So this is like the threat Fiddlesticks from set 8, pretty much. He has this Harvester passive, which is like that does 2 things. One, it reduces enemy armor magic resist, which is actually a pretty good buff. But other than that, he like kind of stays AFK until a certain amount of point, and then he casts, and he does AOE damage, and he fears. It's like Fiddlestick ult in League, which it literally is. And yeah, he can do a lot of damage. So yeah, there's this version, and then you can also play around like more 5 costs. You can play around like Kindred. You can play around Zillion. You can play around Volibear, Shyvana. You could drop 2 of them and play more. But the core is you're just pushing levels with Noxus. Now we have Ixtal. This was a pretty tricky one because you have to play into Ixtal, which means you have to play around the quests. Ixtal is the cash out trait. So, but this one's weird because like, in order to get the cash out, you need to complete quests to get these sun shards, and then after you complete a quest, you have the ability to cash out your sun shards, and your cash out will be based on the amount of shards you have. So if you complete really the harder quests, you'll get more shards faster, so you can get a bigger cash out. The main number to consider when playing this is 500, because you unlock Brock. Brock is a 7 cost. You can only be obtained if you have 500 sun shards. He's really good. He's this really good, strong 80 fighter golem. He does a ton of damage. Yeah. So the core here is you're gonna play around like. I have a real version, but I don't actually think the real version's that good. But I mean, I had to think of something. But yeah, on this board, you play around Nico, Nidalee, Skarner. Okay, so Nico is pretty straightforward, but what's noteworthy about her is that she's attached to, or Nidalee's attached to Nico. To unlock Nidalee, you need to field two-star Nikos in combat together, and then afterwards, Nidalee is like she's based on this Nico. So she has the Huntress trait, which means when your strongest Nico's alive, Nidalee can't be targeted. So basically, you want to keep this Nico alive so that Nidalee starts like just stays alive. With that, you don't have to build any healing on Nidalee. You can just go pure damage. and she literally has this like, I don't know, it's a single target pounce. It is a reset, so like basic like she's just slowly gonna do a lot of damage, and she's gonna reset a lot and jump all over the place. It's really risky if she can take damage, which is why you need to protect the Nico. The best way to do that is to like trap Nico like this. Uh, this board plays Freljord, so this is like the Freljord statue, and then you have Volibear, Braum, Lysandra for some traits. Uh, yeah, so Nidalee's your main carry. Brock is a secondary carry. With 80 items. Skarner is your main tank. To unlock Skarner, you just need to play a non-tank with a Gargoyle still plate. So you need to have Gargoyles active, and then you just put it on a random unit for one combat round. Like you can put it on like, I don't know, just a random unit, your Kiana or something. But yeah, Skarner's your main tank. He's a pretty straightforward tank. He passively gives armor and magic resist, but then he has a shield and he stuns. He's quite good. He's a very good flexible tank. Next we have Longshot Kaisa. This is, I mean, this is just the Longshot board that I found. I tried to make work around Kaisa. I don't know if it's the best version, but yeah. Just put on Kaisa Ziggs, which are just the two highest cost Longshots. You have this nice like 4/4 spread, so I kind of like went with that. But yeah, pretty. Then in front line you have Defender. You have, so because you have 4 Defender activated here, that's why I have Ken in here. Swain is just here for literally just Arcanist. Huh. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, he's a good unit for like crowd control and stuff. But yeah, this version you're playing around 80 Kaisa just because Ziggs is an AP damage dealer, so you can. It's good to have like damage mix. Also, because you also have Salus on this board, and Salus is another AP damage dealer. Yeah, long shot is like it's just sniper. Like it's just sniper. To unlock Kaisa, you need to field a long shot with 3 items in combat and be level 8. So once you level 8, you're probably gonna have items on these one of these two already, so you'll already be perfectly fine. And then Ziggs, it's like the same thing, where you need to have 3 items on a Yordle or a Zon So pretty much, if you have items on Teemo on level 8, you'll have access to Kaisa, and then if you go level 9 and you still have items on Teemo, you'll have access to Ziggs. So pretty much, you're probably going to put your Kaisa items on the Kog'Maw and your Ziggs items on Teemo early on. And with that, you don't have to think about unlocking them. Yeah, your main tank is Kennen just because with Defender active and Yordle active, he's probably tankier than Swain. Yeah, pretty good. Also, we have Piltover. This is a adaptation I made, so it's 6 Piltover. What I found about Piltover is that, okay, first of all, what Piltover is, it after 8 seconds you have access to these modules, and these modules buff your team. The first module is like a team-wide buff, and then 4 and 6 are for like Piltover specific buffs. So basically, if you're playing around vertical Piltover, yeah, this comp is like not that good, but you're playing around Seraphine TX. The main like star of the show is the TX, and there's a lot of interesting stuff you can do with it. Uh, so the T-Hex you can unlock by having 9 star levels of built over it, which means you just need to have all the other built overs pretty much. This T-Hex has a mech system where you can feed someone to him, and then he gains their stats and a bonus. Now, looking at these bonuses, the best one by far is the assassin bonus. However, accessing the assassin bonus is quite difficult. Most people playing around Piltover will just sack their Vi for the fighter bonus, which is pretty good, I would say. But if you have the means to sacrifice an assassin, which there aren't that many of, but that's how you can add the most damage to your TX. Because like just a 2-star assassin, it gives you 60% crit, which will take you to 120% crit, which will give you 10% crit damage, like plus 100% crit chance. So it's a better modifier than any of the other ones. And then if you're feeding a 3-star Briar, that's 120% crit chance, which is another 30% more crit damage. However, this also means you have to play a Briar slash. Alright, so the assassins that you can pick from are like this. I think these are like the only assassins. So I mean, there's like an argument as to whether a Briar 3 is better than like a Diana 2. Probably those are probably the best options. I guess a Fizz is kind of the same thing. Yeah, but apart from that, you're playing 6 Piltover, you're playing around Seraphine, and then Azir for Disruptor, and then some more frontline. Azir also provides soldiers, so that's more frontline, and then you play Ornn for Warden, which is another frontline unit to play. I think it's better than activating Gunslinger, because Gunslinger doesn't do that much for the TX. The standard, okay, so if you don't feed the Briar and if you feed like the Vi, you can play Gunslinger, and you'd play around Lucian Senna, which is a better carry, like honestly. Yeah, this is like the standard Piltover board, but that means you have to have items on this as well. So between the two versions where you were feeding this or not, also I have the Sunfire doesn't work. I tried it. It doesn't work, unfortunately. Okay, I'm gonna take a break there. I'll probably cover the reroll comps tomorrow, just so I can rest my throats a little bit. But yeah, that's pretty much every 4-cost comp that's being played right now. There might be some more. But yeah. Okay, so PB's probably still gonna be done for a little bit, so I'm gonna call it here. I'll be back on tomorrow. Yep, thank you everyone.